Welcome back, Raider Nation and my champions. In this video, we're going to be wrapping up our draft review series, giving you a summary of all the players that have been selected in the recent draft. We're also going to be taking a look at how the offseason has changed the roster, both on the offensive side and the defensive side, including the recent free agent signings. This is the last and summary video of this series, but if you want to get a little bit more detail on each individual player, I've made 3 separate videos, and I'll put a link in the description below. So let's get started. So this is a summary of all the draft grades I gave to each individual player in the past 3 videos, and if you haven't seen those yet, I would encourage you to go see those, but here is the basis here. So this is as far as the player themselves and how talented I thought the player was in general. This is our need based on the position of need and where they could play. The value is based on where they were on the board and relative to where other teams and mock drafts had them. And then an overall grade, kind of wrapping all that up. So for an overall grade for the Raiders in this draft, right now I'd have to give them a B. I already talked about in the first video about valuation with the first pick. I didn't agree with that. I think we got a little bit lucky with the Merrick pick, but we did move up, so that was a good move. The next 2 picks I think are going to be a little bit more specialist type players that we do need, but at least for the short term, I don't see them as every down players. And then the day 3 players I think are kind of more projects and reserve type players. So for now, I would give it a B. Obviously, we're going to have to see these guys in the field to actually properly evaluate them. Now, to properly evaluate the roles that these rookies are going to be in, I think it's best to take a look at where we stood right after the offseason in January. I did make a video on this, and it was also relative to the salary cap, and I predicted some moves that we may make or may not make, keeping and releasing. So I want to go over what we got right, what we got wrong, and then plug in the rookies and the free agents into their roles that I see. First off, let's take a look at what we did get right. I would say 3 of these are pretty obvious. First was Eric Harris. Right after the season, he basically packed his stuff up and moved out of Vegas. That was kind of a given. The next one was Trent Brown. You guys know the Trent Brown saga as a Raider fan, and then I've talked about it in various videos. It didn't make any sense at all to keep him, especially at that price. And then the next one was Tyrell Williams. He had that injury before the start of the season, and again, the price tag for 2021 just wasn't there. So those are some of the prettiest obvious ones. Also, we re-signed some of our specialists here. A couple that I got a little bit of heat from was LaMarcus Joyner. A lot of fans thought that he could contribute to us, and that basically Paul Guenther was kind of holding him back. I didn't really see that, and as a veteran, I expected a lot more. And again, the price tag's just not there. The next one I caught even more heat from, and I basically said that we were going to get rid of one of these guards. We couldn't afford to keep both of them. I was initially kind of hedging with Richie Incognito just on the injury issues. He's 38 years old. He already came back from retirement once. He played with Buffalo, and then he had the season-ending Achilles injury. That would kind of make sense for him to kind of walk away, kind of hang him up, so to speak. But if not, I was saying we'd probably get rid of Gabe Jackson unless he would restructure, and that's exactly what happened. So those were some of the ones we did get right. And while we did get some right, there were some that we were wrong on. First of all was Jonathan Hankins. I take this one as quote-unquote getting it wrong. I thought he would probably be better served on a 3-4 team, just being an exclusive nose tackle. We paid him, I think, way too much money. We did end up re-signing him, so he did stay on board, but for about half the price in 2021 as a 1-year deal. Now, these other 2 were kind of out of the blue. I don't really think anybody predicted them, at least in January. Maurice Hurst was let go. He was still in his rookie contract. I take this as a Marinelli Bradley move. He must not fit into their plans, and they signed all those defensive tackles. So that was a bit of a surprise. And then this one was a huge surprise. And I mean, we can speculate as far as Rodney Hudson goes, that once we got rid of Gabe Jackson, he wanted out. So I'm going to speculate that the Raiders organization themselves in January were not seeing Rodney Hudson leave the organization at that time. So surprise for all of us. Then there were a couple that, that were kind of sort of right. They maybe get partial credit. This first one was Carl Nassib. I thought he would be a cap casualty. However, they kept him on and got rid of Arden Key instead. So similarly here, Devontae Booker, I was expecting to re-sign him in the offseason, but he ended up going to the Giants, signing a 2-year, $5.5 million contract. He's going to be getting paid $2.5 million this upcoming season. So we ended up going out and getting Kenyon Drake, 2-year, $11 million deal. He's going to be making $3 million this first season. So a little bit more than Devontae Booker is making, but obviously I think a much improved, a much bigger upgrade there at the position. So this is how I see the current roster shaking out, position to position, starting and backups. For the most part, I didn't put every single player, but you kind of get the drift of what's going on here. As far as the color coding, the players in silver and black were here last season and we're still under contract and will be here as of now for the 2021 season. The players in blue were here last season but had to be re-signed. Their contracts were expired. The players in green were straight free agents from other teams, and then the players in red were our draft selections from the past draft. So let's start from the top down. We're going to start at the nickel corner position, slot corner. And I said previously before the draft that we needed to draft a corner to push Amik Robertson in the position, and I think that's what we did. That was the reasoning behind Nate Hobbs in the 5th round. So I think that's going to be a battle. I have Amik tentatively winning the position, but it wouldn't surprise me if Hobbs took it. I think that's going to be a nice little battle to watch in camp. As far as free safety, Merrick's going to be the guy, obviously, I think, with Gillespie backing him up. I have stated that I'm not real comfortable with having rookies starting at free safety. I think there's a little bit of a learning curve there, but we're going to see how it works out for us. As far as strong safety, I got Jonathan Abram starting week 1. Now, it's not to say that they might not experiment with him a little bit at linebacker. Maybe some plays where they have him and Carl Joseph. Welcome back, Carl Joseph, by the way. But I think Joseph's going to be the backup in this scenario for now. Let's get to the linebackers. As far as the will, Nicholas Morrow was re-signed. They did draft Divine Diablo, and they've explicitly stated they want him at the will. I also see him as that nickel linebacker because he can help cover as well. So especially with Morrow, he's under contract. He's only got a 1-year re-signing deal, so I think it's going to be 1 year, and then Diablo's going to take the starting job, and that's going to be that. The Mike Kwiatkowski's the guy. There's no real competition there, so I'm just going to move on to the Sam position. Corey Littleton will be there, but I'm thinking this is the spot where they're going to try to integrate Tanner Muse. At least give him a chance. I think he'll be here at least one more season. And I think this is a position to try him out with. Defensive line. Let's start with the defensive end. Now I do have Farrell and Crosby as quote the starters on each side. Of course, Yannick Ngakoue is going to be there heavily on the defensive end. He's also can play that stand-up Leo. And I think that's why we got Malcolm Kuntz as well, is kind of a Yannick Light to play that Leo position as well. So I think that can kind of, there's a lot of flow at the end / edge position there, and it's a good thing. It's good to be flexible. As far as the DTs, as I said before, Maurice Hurst got cut. I'm going to go with Irving winning out the position opposite Jonathan Hankins. I think Hankins will have that spot secured as our, like, almost like our one technique nose, but not really. We're playing a 4-3, but you know, same difference, kind of, sort of. But I think, and then I think I have these two guys here as quote unquote the backups, but I really don't see both of them making it through camp. So I would say one of these two, and then we have a few other defensive tackles as well, and including Stills, that the undrafted kid we picked up as well. So I think that's going to be a good fight for that backup DT spot. Let's go to the corners. I know this is probably going to be a little controversial, but I got Arnett and Mullen both starting week 1, barring injuries, of course. And this is why I think there's a lot of draft capital placed into these two guys, and they want them to succeed. And not only the draft capital, but it's draft capital from the current regime. These, you know, so I think they're going to be given every opportunity to succeed, but they're going to have to do it quick. I think they're going to have a short leash. That's why Casey Hayward's here. That's why Russell Douglas was brought in as well. So if there's any kind of faltering in the first few weeks, you could totally see these guys getting benched and these other guys getting plugged in. So that's how I see the current state of the defense. Offensively, the big changes obviously were on the offensive line. Colton Miller was re-signed, extended, so he's going to be our anchor at left tackle position. As far as the guard goes, Incognito's there, but I did put John Simpson here as his backup because I don't think Richie can handle a full season, just health-wise. Like I said before, I love the player, but you know, he's 38. He came back from retirement already once, so I'm not confident his body can last up to the pounding for a whole season. Center, I tentatively have Nick Martin here starting. I could see James taking the spot, but for now, I'll say Martin. I'll go with the more seasoned guy. And then we drafted Alex Leatherwood. He's going to be day 1 starter at right tackle. Makes sense. And then we moved Good back into the right guard position, which to me makes more sense than having him at tackle. Tight end, no real difference here. Jason Witten retired, but I considered him the 3rd tight end on this roster. Waller's the man, obviously, with Moreau as quote unquote the backup, but you're going to see him in, you know, 2-3 tight end sets, so he's going to be out on the field as well. The receivers, this one's could kind of flow differently as well. I got Ruggs and John Brown as the starters. I wouldn't be surprised if that kind of changes at least through the season. And then the slot, I got Hunter Renfrow here, and we got Willie Snead in free agency, basically another slot guy. Could make some sense because, you know, they didn't draft any kind of kick returners, and Renfro's still returning punts as of now, and he could get hurt. So that's how I see the current roster shaking out for 2021 season. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to let you know that we're going to be going live. Yes, we're going to have another live stream this Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Pacific, 11:10 Central. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over the week-to-week schedule. It's going to be released by the NFL on Wednesday, and we're going to be talking about each game, game by game, and see kind of how we feel that the 2021 season is going to lay out for us. So come on out. We've had fun with previous live streams with mock drafts, and I think this is going to be no exception. Now, you've heard my opinion, but I'd like to know how you think the current roster is going to shake out as far as starting and backup. Put your comments below. If you did enjoy this video and the series, give it a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching and supporting this channel, and as always, go Raiders.